Today I'm taking one sheet of pattern paper from this gorgeous Love from Lizi kit, turning it into 5 beautiful cards with no scraps left over. So if you would like to see how I do that, then stick around.
Hey, it's Beth. Welcome. Today I am working with the Love from Lizi Making Memories kit. Again, this was a December release from Love from Lizi. I'm going to be using items from the kit as well as my sketch set, No Scrap sketch set number 8 for 12 by 12 papers. I have a sheet of the pattern paper picked out, and then I'm going to be using the black glitter and then the gold cardstock pieces. So my sketch set actually calls for 2 sheets of pattern paper, but I'm only going to use one and make half of the cards today. So I'm cutting down the pattern paper according to the cutting guide I provide on sketch number 8, or sketch set 8, and I will link that in the description box below for you if you don't already have it. It is a free download. So cutting the pattern paper according to that cutting guide, but then the matting layers from the cardstock I will kind of cut down as I need them, since the black and gold pieces are not full sheets. So I have all of my papers, my pattern paper pieces cut, and I'm going to start off with sketch A, and we'll turn those strips over to the back side so I do have a contrast. And then I'm going to cut down the gold. I'm going to start with the gold, and I'm trying to make this stretch as far as I can. So like I said, I'm only cutting the pieces as I need them, and then I'm trying to make sure, or trying to be smart about how I cut it. So in this case, I needed another 2 1/8 by 4 1/4 inch strip, and so I just decided to go 4 1/4 this time instead of another long strip. And then I will assemble one card with you, and then we'll finish the rest of those off camera. I will also have the Love from Lizi kit linked in the description box below for you as well. It is a gorgeous kit with all of the florals and like the purples, blues, and roses, like rose-colored flowers in the patterns. And then it does have kind of it's making memories, so it does kind of have like airplanes and kind of things for travel or adventure or past kind of theme as well. But the stamp set that came with the kit has big words, thanks and hugs, and then it has a bunch of coordinating words that you can add to make a sentiment. So for my sentiment, I'm going to use many thanks. So I'm starting with the big word thank, and then the little many, and we'll stamp that. And then once I get that down, I'm going to come in with the S. So the S is separate so that you can say thank you if you want to, or you can use add the S and have the word thanks. So I am going to add that separately so that I can actually get a more clean stamp. So get the S situated, and then I decided to bring in the little heart as well, just to add a little something extra there. So we'll get that lined up as best I can and then stamp that down. And you will see that it was not a smooth transition, which is fine. I'm just going to bring in my Micron black pen, and we'll kind of widen the line there and make it look a little more seamless. So I'm showing you there, it looks a little broken or kind of wonky, but use the pen and now it's a little more seamless. So I'm going to trim this down just a bit, trying to decide how big I want it. The sketch actually shows more of a circle sentiment. It can be any shape, any size. It could be ephemera, whatever you want to put there. It's just kind of a placeholder for something to come across that vertical strip. So I decided that I wanted to add some of the purple peel offs kind of add a frame. I'm not going to the edge of the sentiment piece. I'm kind of leaving just maybe a 1/16 of an inch border, but I am like crossing the edges so it looks like kind of a frame piece, if that's making any sense. I like how it came out, so I guess that's what's important. I can't explain it, but I like how it looks, so we're just going to go with that. But I just added that to all 4 sides, and I just think it helps kind of. I didn't want to use more of the gold to back it because, again, I was trying to maximize how far I could stretch that gold. But I did want something to help the sentiment stand out. So then I'm using a scrap piece of cardstock on the back side here to help my thanks lay evenly across that strip on the card. So that first card is done, and we'll finish the other 3. And then we can move on to sketch B. This one uses the 1 3/4 inch strips, and I'm going to use all of the same pattern showing, and we'll bring in, or I'm using all the same pattern for the strips, but I'm going to turn that middle rectangle piece, the horizontal rectangle piece, over to the back side again for a little bit different pattern, and then we'll back that with the gold. And then the sketch set actually calls for punching a circle to put up in this top left corner, but I decided I wanted to bring in some more of the florals. I hadn't used the stickers yet. And then I'm going to be using the With Love die that came with the kit. So I just cut it out of the center of that gold matting piece, and then you won't be able to see that once I glue the pattern paper on top of it. Then for these strips, I decided I wanted to bring in a little bit of pizzazz to them as well. So on the middle strip, I'm bringing in the widest peel off and bringing that up to the very edge on the 2 long edges. And what this will do, it'll look kind of like a matting layer, but there's not really room for a mat unless I did like one across the whole front of the card. So this will look like a matting layer on these strips, but it's not taking up any extra space. So we'll peel off another wide one and do the same thing on the other side. And then we'll save those cut off pieces of the strips for another time. So on these, I am actually using the thinner, like a thinner strip. So what my hope was is that center pattern paper strip will kind of be a little emphasized a little bit more with the wider purple strip than the 2 on the outside, which will have that thinner strip. So it's kind of, to me, it's saying, that middle piece is just different. Again, words are hard today. Explanations seem to be hard. So we'll do the same thing on this last piece. And I realized that I could have been saving or using up some of the scrap pieces of the strips, because like that horizontal rectangle that's going to go across the middle, it's going to cover the center of these strips, like the inside of the 2 outermost. And then we'll get these adhered down. So the kit came with the pattern, like 12 by 12 pattern paper, the stamp set, a die set, the purple strips. It came with cardstock. I do have an unboxing video that I will link in the description box below for you as well. And then also Lizi's video where she shows you, like kind of tells you more details about the pieces in the kit, and then also shares the other December releases as well. This time I'm just using a single peel off strip across the bottom. I just wanted to add a little bit of purple to this one as well, and then give my die kind of a resting place, so it looks like it's sitting on a shelf instead of floating. And I like the way it kind of crosses that purple circle there on the right hand side, I decided to shift my die over that way. I think it is kind of creates a good background. So I like how all of that came out. But there's also ribbon in the kit and then some other fun embellishments that I'll be using on the project in my next video. We'll get that glued down and kind of let that sit for a second, and then that's how sketch B came out. So sketch C, I'm using these last pattern paper pieces, and the sketch does not call for a card mat, but I wanted to bring in the black. And so I decided to make that my card mat 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then because of that, I have to trim down this vertical piece right here just a hair. And then I flipped that square piece over so it's the other side. And I'm trying to figure out what to do with that bottom strip because it's supposed to be cardstock or pattern paper with cardstock strips. And I didn't do that because I didn't cut down, a full 8 1/2 by 11 piece of cardstock. So what I decided to do is bring in the peel-offs again. I'm using the fire out of the peel-offs this time, but they are like gorgeous royal purple with that gold accent. So definitely need to make use of these. But I put 2 on the very outer edges of the strip, and then I'm going to put 2 kind of in the center, but with a space in between. So it's not the same look as what I would have gotten with cardstock, but it still has like some extra detail on it instead of just being, especially since it's the same pattern as that vertical strip. I'm going to go back to the stamp set and I'm going to use the word many thanks, or the phrase many thanks again. And please excuse the giant fluffy cat that decided to make an appearance. I'm going to start with many and thanks, or many and thank, and then we'll do the S in a second step. And I was hoping that after having done this once before that I would be able to line the S up a little bit better, but apparently I don't have that talent because I still had to come in and fix it with my pen. But that's fine. It still looks fine. You can see I'm like trying to get it just right, and then it's still not just right, but we'll touch that up, and then I'm going to kind of bubble cut around the thanks. I want to put it on that strip there at the bottom, but I don't want to cover the whole strip. So I just decided to cut out the word, and then that way you can still see the strip behind it. And I'm just leaving a little border around it, trimming up a few of those pointy edges. And then I decided to bring in another floral sticker to put on that paint circle. That's what it looks like on that square piece that I had towards the top. We'll adhere down my card mat, and then I can start putting down the other pieces. This time I'm switching to score tape, or actually this is the scrapbook.com, or no, it's actually score tape, the Hookwang score tape. Just because of the glitter texture it's a very fine glitter texture on that cardstock, but I just want to make sure that it's going to stick. So I wanted some heavy duty adhesive. So on this one, I put regular ATG on half, and then I do the score tape on the other half. I could have used my wet glue probably, but I wanted to make sure that it wasn't I wanted more of an instant hold instead of having to wait for dry time. So again, I am using the peel-offs to frame out this piece, and I can luckily this time use some of the scrap pieces of the peel-offs that I had And I am going kind of around the edge again, just to give it a matted look so that it pops off of that pattern paper and the black and gives it a little bit of a shine. So these are now ready to be glued down. And again, my sketch set actually called for making 2 of these and 2 of sketch B and 6 of sketch A using 2 sheets of the pattern paper, so kind of mixed and matched. So since I only used 1 sheet of pattern paper and was able to mix and match the sides, I kind of made half of each of the cards. So 3 of sketch A, 1 of sketch B, and 1 of sketch C. I had the strip of the gold left, and I decided I wanted to add a little bit of extra to this one to kind of fill in some of that white space on that rectangular piece. And then on sketch A, I wanted to bring the gold across the card a little bit. So I originally put them kind of on the bottom right of that rectangle piece, and then on the other, like that's where I want to put it because I want to carry the gold across. But then on the second card, I was like, oh, look, there's kind of a blank spot on the left side of underneath the thanks sentiment on where that vertical strip is. And, you know, well, that kind of looks nice. But then I do ultimately go back to the main reason I was putting these gold circles on there, just so that I can carry the gold across, and so it's not just in one spot on the card. So it kind of evens it out. And I'm just using, I think it's a 3/8 inch circle punch to cut these. This is my go-to for making sure I have the exact color of dots to match the card I'm working on. And, you know, there's no dimension, so I don't have to, you know, worry about if I'm mailing, if I need to cover the front of the card. So we'll get these down, and then all 5 of my cards are done. Again, I will have the sketch set and the kit contents video linked in the description box for you. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you all have a very crafty day.